We're here today at an absolutely boiling horseshoe quarry, doing a little bit of sport climbing. Had Dad on belay duties, my stunt double, just to show you one of our most popular bits of gear from the rock room. And we've got the new Petzl Connect Adjust 2. So we've been selling the Connect Adjust in this style for quite a few years now. It's probably one of the first lanyards on the market that was really popular, and people love this for all sorts of situations, and it's been used loads, and like I say, one of our best selling pieces of climbing gear. But there are some things that Petzl wanted to improve, and so we're here today to have a look at the new Connect Adjust 2. Before I'll go through all the differences between the two, I'll explain what a lanyard is if you don't know. It's an adjustable lanyard basically. So there's lots of situations this could be useful for. Mainly in the UK, what people use them for is safely lowering off the top of a sport route. You've led your route, you get to the top anchors, something like this quite often, and you have to lower off in a safe way and not leave any of your gear at the top. There's of course tons of ways you can do this safely without having something so fancy as this. But let's be honest, this makes it a bit more secure, a bit safer, it's really good practice, and it's just clean and quick, and people have agreed it is worth the effort. So when you climb to the top of your sport route, a lot of the time you might put a quick draw in and clip straight in and say, take, I'm at the top or whatever. But when it's time to rig it, or if you get to the top and you're comfortable, what might be worth doing is clipping straight in with your lanyard. So I'll just show you to do that. You'll normally got a ring that you're gonna like lower off or you can clip into, but I would get to the top, get my lanyard, clip in, and as you can see, there's a bit of slack in there, it adjusts and it's taut. Really nice and tight, no slipping, you're in the right place. If you do it with a quick draw, you're sometimes absolutely pinned up to the top, or if it's a long ledge and you put two on, you can be like too baggy and you might have some slack in the system. This way you can always have just the right amount. So it's quite interesting doing this rigging here, because I've just seen this little sign here that's brilliantly put here by the BMC. They do amazing work to try and make sure we all know what we're doing. And maybe follow this sort of link to have a look at what they recommend. But what seems to be the tried and tested practice when you get to the top of a crag is this. So you've clipped in, you're probably on the bolt instead of the lower off here. You shout down to your belayer, I'm at the top, I'm clipped in hard, and then they can give you a little bit of slack. You'll take a bite and you'll feed it through. Sometimes there's just two bolts, sometimes there's a chain. You might just want to go straight on there if it was a link on a chain here, and then just put a big figure of 8 like that. And then you should always have with you a locking crab, which you will clip in there, clip into your belay loop, and make sure that's nicely done up. Then when you're really happy that that is nice and secure, you can start undoing the knot you first started with. When you first do this, it can feel really quite unnerving. You're like, this is a thing that normally saves my life and I'm undoing it. What am I doing? So having all this set up first means you've got redundancy. You've got two things always on you until you're 100% sure that you're ready to lower off. Once you've undone your knot, pull through the excess now dead rope that's not doing anything, so it's out of the system. You can see you're completely tied in and happy. So why I think the Connect Adjust really comes into its own is at this point. Because right now, if you were just clipped in with a quick draw, you'd say to your belayer, right, I'm ready to go on you take in the slack, and the belayer will take in the slack. And then you have to unclip the quick draw and off you go. And you just hope everything is right. It probably will be because you've checked it all. But with the Connect Adjust, what's really nice is you can say, right, back on you, take me there, whatever you want to call, and start lowering, and they can pull it nice and tight. You can actually let the slack out of your Connect Adjust, knowing you're fully back on your belayer before you go and unclip it. So that's really nice. Look, there's no weight on that. I'm on the rope, down I go. If it's a quick draw, you might well have to undo it and just really hope you've rigged everything just right. While they're at that stage, I just wanted to explain another thing I quite like doing with this is it's not really been needed today on a straight up sport route that's vertical, but if you're lowering off a steep route or weaving route, what you'll often find people do is get a quick draw again and clip it in from your belay loop to your lowering rope so that you don't swing away from the route and it helps you clean the route. I find I do that with the Connect Adjust, so I'd clip into the rope that I'm getting lowered off, and as I slide down it keeps you close to the wall. Why I like that is if I'm really struggling with a quick draw to get out, is I can actually then clip myself back in to a bolt with the Connect Adjust, pull myself in nice and tight to get that karabiner out of the bolt, and then if I want I can let myself out a bit before I unclip it. That can all be quite hard with a really short, obviously static length quick draw. So that's just lowering off the top of a sport route. Now, please, please, please do some research on this. It's at your safety, your risk, all that. Look what the BMC say. But I also want to talk through lots of other brilliant things that people do with the Connect Adjust. So even though I love this lanyard, I don't think I'd ever really take it on a trad route. I don't think I'd take it on a single pitch trad route in the UK. I'm not sure I'd take it on a multi-pitch trad route in the UK because you're normally building your own anchors and you've got to clip in with your rope and all that sort of thing. But if you're in a sort of alpine environment or multi-pitch sport, I definitely would take it with me because there's lots of fixed abseils and fixed belays. So once you climb your route, you pitch and you get there and you clip in, you can shout safe and then start sorting everything out. You know, you still want to belay off your rope as well, but at least you're in, and you can adjust where you stand, which is so nice, and you can't do with you're just using a rope all the time. So often you'll get to a belay stance and you sort of tie in and then you go, oh, I wish I'd just give myself a bit more slack so I can see them properly. And it's dead easy to do with a lanyard. Again, with the abseiling, a lot of multi-pitch sport routes, you are back down the route, and so you're clipping into belays constantly, and it's so nice, and speed will be on your side then, and that is key safety, isn't it, when you're in the mountains? So you clip in and you're ready, and you can start sorting the next abseil as well. Let's have a quick chat about how you store a Connect Adjust on you. So a lot of people, why they don't like having a lanyard is it's another thing in the way and bulky. So like I say, if I was doing trad, I probably wouldn't bother, but for all other environments, I probably would. My favourite is just to simply wrap it all the way around me. I can normally keep it out of the way of everything. I'm normally sport climbing, so it's just quick draws, and clip it straight back in to itself, so everything else is still free. Now, I must admit, I can only just do that because I'm quite big, I guess, and I've got about 34-inch waist, and it just makes it around. Skinnier people will find it dead easy, but if there's a bit more volume here, it might be a bit of a struggle, and there's other things to consider. I've seen one that I don't like, and I've never done, but some people put it through their leg and clip it in the back. Now, I guess that sort of makes sense in the fact that it's completely out the way, but I really don't like the idea of that getting caught and causing some damage. Another thing I have done before, and does seem to work well, particularly when you're not too cluttered, is have it a little bit adjusted, so it's sort of half length, and clip it at the one at the back, particularly again if I'm sport climbing. It's really not in the way and it's ready to go. And another quite slick one is to actually put a slip knot in the rope so that it was taking a length out, clip the carabiner straight into it and clip it to your harness at the front. Now it might look a bit messy, but at least it's short and it's out the way here. And when you do come to take that out and you drop that knot out of it at the same time, it will come to the full length. So I have seen these highly recommended, like I say, on these sort of alpine routes where you're on easier ridges where you changing constantly between climbing, walking, scrambling and moving fast. And it can really help those adjustments where you want to clip in, be safe while you might be dropping some of the coils that you've got around your shoulders so you can have a bit more rope ready for the climbing bit, or vice versa, taking them back in. So really handy for things like that. They're also nice for simple things like clipping to a Jumar if you were Jumaring up a rope, because again, you can get the length just right. All these sort of things are great. I must admit my original Connect Adjust I've probably used more than anything while making zip wires with the kids, because I make a zip wire straight and taut like that. And when I need to clip them into it, it's nice to have them stood on the floor. I clip them into the pulley and then I pull them up and they're nice and taut and on the rope and off the floor. And they're still a little way away from the pulley so they don't end up grabbing it while going down and burning their hands. So love it for that. And they can lower them back to the floor. Nerdy dad tech for you there. So just a little note here, I actually really like using this carabiner with the Connect Adjust. This is the Petzl SMD, I think it's called, and it's like one of those quick lock things. Not usually a massive fan of those, but I really like them for this environment because I want it to be done up and locked and safe, but I don't want to have to screw it up every single time, particularly if you're doing abseils. You might get lazy and not bother. This one, you have to, and it will auto lock, but it's quick, so I really like that. So I've tried other carabiners in the Connect Adjust, but actually it does seem to work best with this shape. So you'd think the oval will be really good for it, but it actually seems to work better with this carabiner. You get with it as well a little retainer here that stops it sort of sliding around, so it's always in position. Right, it's probably time I started telling you the differences between the old and the new. So this is the original Connect Adjust, which, like I say, been really, really popular. It's got a 9.5mm rope on it, which is slightly dynamic. So, you know, I'm not saying take lobs on it, but it will give you a little bit of reassurance that it's got a bit of stretch in there. The most noticeable difference between the original and the Connect Adjust 2 is the way it attaches to your harness. So originally it was locked footed through like that with this rope, which obviously worked, but it's quite bulky. So you can see it's quite a big knot and it would put people off, and sometimes quite hard to actually thread because this bit can be so chunky. The new Connect Adjust 2 has this sort of skinny Dyneema sling, which is really thin, doesn't get in the way, connects a lot easier. And I know when I first saw this, I was actually quite scared because thinking, how can this stitching be as strong? Surely that rope's better. Apparently in testing, that's actually one of the strongest bits on it. So I think that's a massive improvement because that just makes it so much slicker and less bulky down here. The other thing that's really obvious they've changed is the actual diameter of the rope is slightly thinner. Like I say, 9.5 on this, I believe it's around 9.1 on this. And it's noticeable how much slicker I can adjust it. It wasn't particularly bad on the old one, but this one is way easier and runs so much smoother. So with the original or the old one, whatever we're calling it, obviously you pulled yourself nice and taut. The only problem people used to have here was it wasn't easy or even possible to release once under tension. Because if I was fully loaded, free hanging, I can't actually twist that to give a bit more slack out. You had to put yourself in a little bit so you could take a little bit of weight off and then move yourself, which 99.9% of the time you can do. But if you did want to do that, you simply couldn't. They've addressed that with the new one with a real simple addition. This little hole here, you don't get this tat on it, that is mine. This allows you to release the device even if under tension. So once you're clipped in, you're under tension, like I say, you can't really tilt it, but if you put something through that hole, and I recommend leaving something in there, this little loop seems to work well for me, I can then pull that and it's completely undone it, and then I can move myself. And particularly if you can get two hands for it, it's quite nice to be able to do that. If I let go, I'm in a lot where I am. If it was a really strenuous environment and having a hard time with it, you could even put a crab through that bit of tat that I've created there, and that'll give you a proper big handhold. There's obviously other ways you could do that. You could just put a bit of cord through it and leave a big knot on the end so you could pull on it. But I quite like this, so I can stick my finger in it and pull it. I don't know whether that will cause some issues with clipping into it, but it hasn't for me so far. Another thing I've seen done with the Connect Adjust is a really cool thing when you're doing multi-pitch abseils. If you're doing lots of abseiling, you do want to extend your belay device away from your harness so it can run smoother and will go through your sort of prusik a bit better. Now, if you're doing multiple abseils, it really comes into its own if that is nicely extended and it's on the lanyard. So I don't know if it's designed to do this, but I've seen enough people doing it and Petzl seem to think it's okay, even if they don't publicize it. But if you just put a little clove hitch here and get your belay device, you can clip that in and it will run nicely, and it's extended. So then you can see it will go nicely through my prusik if it was down here, and I still have the ability to clip in, get myself nice and taut once I get to that belay. So I'll be in nice and secure, and I can release the rope on there and start threading for the next one. It's a really cool little slick idea. If you're doing absolutely tons of this sort of thing, you might want to consider the dual Connect Adjust, where actually you would have a spare little lanyard sticking out for exactly that thing that you connect your belay device to. Then when your ropes are rigged and ready to go, you can run your ropes back through your belay device, through your prusik. You know you're nice and sorted. You can let the slack out. You can see the tension come back onto your belay device and your ropes that you're abseiling off. And then when you're really happy, you can unclip and you're ready to go. So all in all, I think it's an extremely versatile piece of kit, considering it's probably designed with just this setup in mind, and lots of different areas you could use it. I use it quite a lot, and if you don't like using this sort of thing, don't worry, don't get one. Keep doing what you're doing, but please be safe. I think Petzl have really taken on board the only sort of downsides with the original Connect Adjust and made what seems pretty perfect to me. I do hope you like the videos we create, so if you could give us a subscribe or a like or a comment, that would really help, and we'll keep doing what we're doing.